Now, I hope both of you were there in the class, right? Ajay and Fauzi, you were there in the class yesterday, right?
Oh, sir, I was absent for 2 days, sir.
Do you know the basics of Python? Because we were discussing Python a little bit.
Yeah, sir, yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So we are doing because in your curriculum, in your next phase, you will be getting head on with Python. Like, you will not be, it will be very small time to revise the basics, right? So what I did is we were revising Python. We were doing the basics of Python. So I explained until logical operators, comparison operators, assignment operators, the basic functions. Today I will explain something more. Now, if, for example, I assign A the value of 3, maybe 9, and B the value of uh, B is a value that is 3. Now you know when I will divide A by B, it will be 3, right? But the type of it will be changed. Now, if you see, originally the type of A so you see that A and B, there's a type to it that we will just find out what was the type. So let us consider that there is C that is also equal to A divided by B. That is the same as this. Either you can write C inside here or you can just write A divided by B. So it's not a problem. Now if I uh, check it, so if you see that A by B is a value that is 3.0. It didn't come just as 3, it came as 3.0. So it is a float. Hmm. Whereas A and B were whereas A and B were integer. So I explained yesterday that whenever we divide two two things, whatever the original data format is, it will always come out as a float. Now, if you are programming and you are doing something in which you have to convert that float back to integer, right? Maybe then how will you do conversions among the data formats among them? So how is that possible? So just now, if you see the data format A by B is C. Okay. So if you want to change the data format of this, you will write int here. So what it will do is whatever format it will produce, but this time you are defining an operation that is int. By int, it will convert to int. Similarly, if it is an integer, you can use float. It will convert to a float. Now, if you see, this time it comes out as an integer. This times the 3 is an integer. Now, for example, If I have A, that is a 2, and I have a B, that is a string 3. Now, if I print A plus B, do you think that will happen? No, because it is a string and it is an integer. They will not add and it will give me an error. So in cases like this, if you have to make the operation possible, what you have to do is you have to place a integer mark, right? Now, what you have done is you have said to your computer, you have commanded that I know B is a string, convert it into an integer, and then add, because then only the mathematical operator will be functional on it, right? Now I have a value 5. Got it? Earlier I did not have a value. So this thing is called type conversions. So sometimes you need to convert values among each other. Okay. So uh, then there is one another thing. Sometimes we have, I am gonna define you what is an input function. What input means. If you remember, I told you there are some inbuilt objects like false, true, else. Similarly, just like print, we were writing print and in brackets we were giving the orders. Similarly to print, these are functions. What functions are, we will understand later, but function is something where the operation is already installed in Python and it and the writing format of it is in a such a way that we put brackets after the keyword. Now, I was defining, for example, I was doing some operations. I I want to know A is equal to maybe 20. Now, my question is, uh, and B is equal to 30. So, it is very easy to create a simple program where I say A plus B, print A plus B. Now, what if I give you a command and I tell you to write a code where you should be able to ask the user and you ask the user to input a value. So there is a function called input. So what happens is when you define a function input, that is, maybe I say A is equal to input, uh, tell me a number, right? Print the number you told me. Okay. Now in this program, I'm asking, I'm writing A, the variable. Now with the help of this program, I will, when I run it, you see in the interface, the computer is asking me. So you are the coder, you have written a code, and for whatever purpose it is, for example, now it is asking in the interface. Now it says, tell me a number. Maybe I told it 50. Okay. Now it is saying the number you told me, I forgot to write here, A. Now maybe it asks me 25. I tell it 25. So it says the number you told me is 25, right? So if you don't want to define variable, there is a possibility that you can ask the user itself. So for that we use input. But there is this one thing of input that now if you see, I asked A is equal to input, right? And I got this number back. But the data type of A is a little kind of weird. Now, what if I say uh, print type of A, right? Now, I told it a number. Now it will tell me that it is a string, but I included a number. How can it be a string? So this is the characteristic feature of this function input. Whenever you are asking someone in input function, just like print is to print on the screen, input is to ask the user. Whenever you ask through this function input, whatever you put in here, it will always pick it up as a string. So if you are doing some coding, you need to remember that you need to convert, for example, if you are working with numbers, you need to convert this input. So now whatever value I'm getting in the input will be converted to an int. Now this time it asks me a number. I tell 5. So it tells me it is an integer. Got it? That this time the value of A, first it asked me something, then it was converted into an integer. So this is something that we can do in Python. Now, today we will talk about conditional statements. So before going into conditional statements, we need to understand some qualities of strings. What is string? How do we define a string? Okay. So as I said, anything that I will write in a double comma, this is a string. Any text or anything that is written between a double comma, in Python it is defined as a string. So in Python you can also maybe do it like this. Uh, but the best way is a double comma. You can also put a single comma also. This is also a string. Or maybe what you can do is C is equal to, so this time I have, so to define this text in Python, you can use any of these three ways, either a double comma, either a single comma, or either a triple inverted comma. So we always use a double comma. Why? For example, there was a first, maybe uh, this is a kid's birthday. Now, if you see in English, we are very often writing a single inverted comma. So to avoid it getting it in a problem here, we always use double inverted comma. What if I was using this same line here with a single inverted? Now what will happen? My code will think that it started here and it ended here. Now this part is not considered as a string. It gets confused. You can do vice versa this time. Maybe if there is, you can either use double quotes or triple quotes to save yourself from this confusion, to save the computer from misinterpreting it, right? And this is also third way. Now, if you see, all of them has a string type, right? So this is how you define text. Now, there is one simple thing. Maybe I want to say this is my first line and this is my sorry. So this is a code editor, but maybe if I want this to appear in second line, right? I will give it a space or maybe kind of enter it in the next line. But what will happen, because Python works in a way that if you want this phrase to be in a next line, if normally if you do it, just a moment, this is a kid's birthday. You want to print on the screen, you want to show it, maybe not this particularly, let's just copy it directly inside. You want to print this is a kid's birthday and you want this in the next line. So maybe if you give it any space or anything, this will not happen. So why is it not working? So this is a kid's birthday. It printed it with a space, but you were not able to get it in the next line. So if you want in Python, if you want things to be written in a next line, what you have to do is we use something called as it is called as line gap. So what we do is we use a backslash. And this is a German keyboard. Where is a backslash? So we use backslash n. So what happens is now when the computer will look at it, At this point, it will understand that the person is commanding me that this part it should come in the next line. Now, so this is a kid's birthday. So whenever you want to print it in a command that it should come in the next line, just remember that you have to add backslash n. Okay. Similarly, if you want to give some space here, then it is backslash t. Now there is some space here. You can maybe, if I want it 4 lines down the row, 4 or 5 lines down the row. So if you see, this is a kid's birthday. So this is how you will create the interface. Now the next thing that we talk about is concatenation. So this word looks a little difficult, but what it means is that um, if you have a string that is, I define one string and I call it and I define another string and I call it. Now I want two strings to be written together. How will I do that? So that is called concatenation. In that, what you have to do is, it is you use the same operator of plus. Okay. Now I want string 1 to be written with my string 2. Okay. So this is my house in the city. Now, if you see that in my and house, there is no space. So in a string, you have to define spaces. You can add a space here and then there will be a difference. This is my house in the city. For example, if this was just a normal string A, right? And this is a normal string B. So they both will be printed together, A and B. Now maybe you can do is one thing. You can also add directly a space here. So this time you added a string here directly and you gave it inverted commas. And now if you do it, so A and B has space, right? So writing strings together is called as concatenation. Now there is another function in Python. For example, my value of A is, I am maybe saying there is an alphabet here, acknowledge. Okay. Now I want to ask the computer what is the length of the word I have input. Okay. Then what I will do is there is this defined function, just like print and input, there is another defined function in Python that is called as length. So in case of length, we are asking the computer the length of the word that I have just placed here. See, now it says the length is 11. So if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, if I add one space here and then see, check the result. This time it will come 12. So anything that you add between inverted comma is that place is also acknowledged in a part of the length. Okay. So this string is of 12, not of 11. So if I add one more space, it will become 30. So this is continuously two spaces, I think. Uh, yeah. So it is 13. Okay. So these spaces that you add between an inverted commas are all counted as, maybe I write A, B, C, D. Now this time it should be 4, right? Now if I add spaces here, this time it will be 8. So you understand, right? Anything that comes inside, it is a part of the string now. Okay. Now, for example, if someone tells me to write a code where I ask the user a word and I have to give its length. Okay. Now I am assuming the input word, maybe I can call it anything. I can call it A, I can call it string. Okay. Maybe I call it string one. Okay. So I'm asking the interface where I say input, tell me a word. Okay. And then I want the computer to tell me its length. The length of the word you told me is, so this time, for example, I'm giving the input where I'm going to ask the user to tell me a word, and then I'm going to print the length of the word. Okay. Now, so tell me a word. Maybe I tell it uh, Monday. Okay, there is a problem with the capital. Now I say Monday. So the length of the word you told me is 6. So there is this function that is length function. So with this, you can tell the length of the string. Now there is something that is called as indexing, the principle of indexing. Now what happens in indexing is, maybe this is a word. So when I define a word here, for example, uh, I define something here, a string. I define a string here. I say it A is equal to uh, Monday. Now what happens is how the computer stores it. Indexing means giving a reference to what is inside of the string. Now, what this computer does is, because it works on the whole number system, right? It will pick this Monday up, and what will it do is, so it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It will assign m the value of 0. Sorry, at the position of 0, there is m. Now, this is a indexing means it is a positioning system. For example, you defined a string and now I'm trying to understand, okay, I am telling you, find me the word at the fourth index of this, whatever you defined. So what it means is m here has a position that is 0. So if I'm writing in this print a, I don't have big brackets on my computer. Yeah. So if I put A0, now what that means is in Monday, A0 means the M, the position where it starts. Now, this is called as indexing. So it gives just M to me. So there must be, maybe there is a string. For example, Monday is a boring day. And I tell you, find me something inside that is at 15th index, right? So at 15th place is R. So similarly, when you define something inside a string, when you are defining something inside a string, it indexes it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even the empty space is given an index. So here the sixth position, if I look at the sixth position and I run it, I will get an empty because it is an empty place. So this thing is called as indexing. This is how, if I say that it is very highly used in machine learning. So when you will be doing machine learning and all, this will be used by you definitely. Like every day, almost every day, you will be using this indexing. And how do we use this indexing is, for example, now maybe there is something called as slicing. And what slicing means is the way we define slicing. So just as index, there was positioning, right? When we start from here, we started with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now maybe I want that, I just want to print from the 0 to maybe 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till the fifth character. So whichever character you want to print until, you will select the next to it. So maybe I want this to print to Monday. So this M is 0, this O is 1, this N is 2, this D is 4. Sorry, this D is 3 and A is 4 and Y is 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the last part is not included in slicing. So if you remember when I did A0 only, it was giving me the indexed placed and of that value. But when I do slicing, in slicing we choose the value until which we want plus 1. So it is kind of a range that will define, it is defined as such, it will start from here, but it will end one less than here. Okay. So this time if I print this, it will give me Monday. Okay. So there is a journal way of maybe if I want to find the whole string. So we can also define it as maybe the length of the string. So in the length of the string, so a general good way to write a code where you want to define where you want to kind of define it from the, maybe you want to define from the fifth till the end. So to represent the end, it is always better to use length of A. So what happens is in the length, you start with 1. In indexing, you start with 0, right? So the length of it is 1, 2, 3, and something, something, something. And it it is almost equal to indexing plus 1. So when you do it, it started from the fifth one, and Y is a boring day. Okay. Now, sometimes by default, if you leave it empty and you just place this semicolon, uh, even then also it means till the end. So this again is Y is a boring day. So leaving it empty also means that you want it till the end. Now maybe leaving it till the end from the right side. Now maybe I want from the starting to till the fifth this time. So this also means leaving empty from left side. It means from the starting of the left side, right? Now, what if there is another way how to do slicing? I started in indexing, I used with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe what if I just want the last of it? I just want the last letter of it. So one way is to kind of maybe if this was a small word, for example, if it is Monday. So one way is if I want the last one is uh, fifth and sixth, right? So this is one way. So this will give me Y. So it starts from the fifth, but because six is the one ahead, it will end only on, it will just count till Y. Now, this is a little difficult to do. What if there is an indexing reverse way? What do we do in reverse indexing is we choose Y as -1 position and A as -2, and we start in reverse. So for example, I tell the computer to tell me which one is at a place -1. So this time it will tell me Y is at -1. Maybe if I tell it, give me -2, then A is at -2. Maybe if I tell it to give me -3, then this D is at -3. Okay. So similarly, you can also do the column expression here. Maybe I want uh, -3 to, maybe I want -5 to -1. So just remember the right one will never be included, the final position. Okay. So in this example also -1, that is Y uh, will not be included. It will start from -5. That is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So it will be ONDA. So we get a ONDA. Okay. So there are some inbuilt functions in string that you know before you go deep into the uh, Python. So what those inbuilt functions are? So these are those inbuilt functions. That is, let us consider that, let us consider this is something I define. This is a string that I define. It can be A, I can call it A or B or something, or maybe str, right? I defined this string. Now I am looking inside if this complete thing is ending with a er dot. Okay. So if this complete thing is ending with a er dot, so that is the first function. This ends with is a predefined function inside Python. So what I'm going to do is, if for example, I say I have a string that is how have you been? Are you? Okay. Now, maybe I have 1000 sentences. Okay. This is two of the sentences. Now, I want to know how many of my sentences are ending with a U. Okay. In that case, what I'm going to do is, for example, print string that is A ends with the value I want to see if it ends with U. Okay. So here it is A, and then also I can. Now I have these two strings, okay? And for both of them, I'm writing whether is it true or false. So this string function always gives the value in either true or false. So when first I'm asking it, does the A string ends with a U? It will say false. What if I'm asking, okay, does this B string ends with a U? It will say true. So for example, you're designing a casino machine, okay? And that casino is you're playing a bet on something that he says the last number will be 4, okay? So you have to write a code, Python code, when the random number that will be selected. So with that Python code, you will check, okay, is the last number is the same as the selected by the user, okay? So these are the small cases where you can use such things ends with. So then comes the next is that is capitalize. Now what happens in capitalize? So for example, there is this small word that I may write. Maybe I write Delhi. So in Delhi, in this string, the D is in small letters. So there is this function. Maybe if I write it like this, B is equal to A dot capitalize. Yeah, capitalize. Then just I leave it blank because I've already selected A here, right? And then I say print B. Now the print will be a capital Delhi. Okay. So this type of thing you can be using in somewhere, maybe you have been recruited by a company which designs an English software where the user is writing and you automatically uh, change the first letters of the sentences or the important names. So such things will be used in such forms. Okay. Then there is another thing that is called as replace. So uh, what if I have a phrase where the work is not easy, it's not easy. Now maybe there is some mistake or something. Someone with an error replaced all the O's with three. Now you need to write a program where you want to change the errors here. So in this case, what you can do is print a dot replace, and in the replace you choose the old one which you want to replace with a new one. So I want to replace 3 because 3 is a string here. I want to replace 3 with a O. Okay. So in this case, the work is not easy. It changed to the work is not easy. Okay. Then there are two more like this, that is find and one is count. Maybe I want to, uh, there is a big phrase, the world is the many shape. It won't make sense. I'm just writing anything. Uh, old, new, sky, blue, the, yet. Okay, now this is a string. Now I want how many times the word the has been repeated in it. Okay. So, or maybe I want to look for the place where the word the is appearing. Okay. Maybe I would look for the word shape. Okay. Let us find. Maybe just let us find where the first time O is mentioned. Okay. So in this, where is the first time O in mentioned? So according to indexing, if you see, there is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will find and give us the index position of the first time it is occurring where. Okay. So if I run it, you see it gives me 6. So maybe I just write here. I can write a word also here. I can write, maybe I write sky here. Okay, if you see the sky is here together. So when I just look for it, so it will tell me it is starting at the 37th index position, 37, 38, 39. Okay. So find gives returns an index position. So for example, you are working with some kind of uh, jumbled data format in like there is a data where you have to look for something's index and then you have to work on that analysis. So this find can be used to look where the word is actually the index of it. Okay. Then there is count. Maybe I just want to count. Maybe I want to count the number of times T has been mentioned in this phrase. Okay. So the T has been mentioned 4 times. One, two, three, and four. Similarly, if I just want to check the whole word together, that is sky. So the word sky has been mentioned just once. So these are some string methods that you can use. Okay. Until now, if anyone has a doubt, please, or all is okay. Okay. Then the next thing is conditional statements. So, what is a conditional statement? Now, this is very important if you want to progress into machine learning and everything. If you don't know how this works, you really need to learn how this works. Now, for example, I have, if I have maybe the format of it is as this. So, this is a combination of three words, that is if, elif, and else. Okay. So, what happens is you can either independently use if. But if you have to use elif, you need to use it always with if. And you can use else, but you have to also use with if or either three of them together. So if can be used alone, but now, uh, for example, maybe if I try a method where I say a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, c is equal to 30. So I say to the computer, hmm, if a is if a is greater than b. Okay, I define this condition. If I say if a is greater than b, so how to write these kind of conditional statements? So why they are called conditional statements? Now I'm giving a condition that if a is greater than b, print print happy, else print sad. Now, since you can see that here a is not greater than b, what will happen is this a is greater than b will return false. So because this will return false, it will not do this because it is a sub statement inside the if domain. Okay. So if this were true, it will just execute what is inside this and it will not go ahead. Now instead what it does is it if this is false, it will go next. Now if I run this, so because A was not greater than B, it said it is sad. What if I make A as 40? Now this time it returns happy. Okay. Similarly, maybe if you are at a traffic light, okay, and if you are at a traffic light, okay, and A means green, B means yellow, and uh, C means red. Now, maybe what we can do is we can define it as a input. Maybe I'm asking the user, when the user is standing at a traffic light, what he says is it I'm defining a function where I'm asking the user which color light do you see? Okay. So maybe if the user is standing at a traffic light, now let me define a function. Uh, what is the color of the traffic light? Now I define if the user says that if the user says A is equal to green, if the user replies green, print print go. Elif, now elif will come in this role. What if that if one is not working and there are more than one conditions? Then in that case, other than if and else, I will also use elif. So elif is a short form of else if. Now if I tell the computer if B, if the input by the user is yellow, okay, in this case, print wait. And if none of these two is true, then is the else. Else, or you can say maybe if A is equal to red. Okay. In that case, print stop. You see, there is this space left here. Why? because this is a subscript of this one. It is called as indentation. You have to leave a space here for, if you want this, if this becomes true, this will happen. And after this happens, none of this will happen because this became true. In case if this becomes false, that the input is not given as green, the user says I am at a red light, then in that case it will become false, and then it will come to this one. It will also become false because it is not equal to red light. This will not work. Then it will go to the final step. Now let us try to use this script. Okay, there is a small problem. So this should also be either, because the third one would be read early. So it asks me what is the color of the light. Maybe I tell it it is red. So it tells me stop. Now maybe I ask it again and it asks me, and I tell it yellow. Then it, sorry, I didn't input yellow. So now this time I put in yellow. So it says wait. So here now you have defined a traffic light system code. Okay. So this is where conditional statements will come handy to you. You have to use if, elif, else. Okay. So this will be very important for you in machine learning. So then is the concept of nesting. What nesting means is, sometimes we write a code where we want to use if inside of if. What that actually means is, I will explain. For example, I'm now making a software for a driver license. So I'm going to explain what nesting is. Okay. So maybe now if I say input, I define a variable and I input, I'm asking the user what is your age? What is your age? Okay. So this is for a driving license. I want to determine based on its age if the person is able to drive or not. Okay. Once they give me a value, now I'm saying that if age is greater than 18, yes, we know that you are eligible to drive. Print, you are eligible for a driver's license. Okay. And otherwise, I want the computer to tell else, print, you are not eligible for a driver's license. Now, what happens is, this is a simple elif statement. What if I want to nest it? What if I want to do is, I know that the age greater than 18, I know it can drive a license. But what if he is overage? What if his age is more than 80? Then what if? Then what I will do is I will define a nested loop. In this, what I will do is inside of if, I will define another if. Okay. So I will say if the age is greater than 80. Okay. This time I want to print you are you are overage. Else hmm, age is greater than overage. Okay. So now you see inside of a if also I have described another if. So what will happen? I will ask the customer what is your age. The customer will tell me its age. For example, the age is 81. Now, what will happen is in the first scenario, age is greater than 18. So, this will come out to be true. So, the computer will go inside this subscript and will try to perform this. Then it will again find a conditional statement, and here it will see the age is greater than 80. So, he will tell us that you are overage. Otherwise, if it is maybe if I put in 50, then it will do is print and it will call that yes, you are eligible for a driver's license. Okay. Otherwise, if someone puts a age less than 18, so what will happen? This will become false. It will directly go to the else that you are not eligible for a driver's license. Now let us check this. So there is some error here. So this time it is asking me what is your age. So maybe if I tell it I am 50 years old. Okay. So okay. So this is always what is your age? I enter 50. You are eligible for a driver's license. Now, what if I try it again and it is asking and I say 16? It says you are not eligible for a driver license. Maybe this time I will put in 85. So it says you are overage. Okay. Now you understand how you can use conditional statements here. Okay. So this is very important to learn because this is what you will be using almost repeatedly in your machine learning and AI classes. So to work with the data formats that are coming up next, you need to be very clear about the conditional statements. So uh, until now, if anyone has a doubt, please. Ajay, Fauzi, are you there in the class? All good. Uh, did you know most of it before only, or have you done Python before, Fauzi? Okay, then you revise it. Just make sure you practice Python because yes, beginner level for Python. Okay, so just practice it. More you will practice it, the more better you will become. So tomorrow we will go a level more in Python. Okay, and maybe let me give you an exercise. Uh, okay, what you do is it is not necessary. If you do it is good. If you just like this one, just like this code that we have written here, just write a small code and show me tomorrow. Just write a small nested loop. Okay, just try to write a small nested loop and just show me tomorrow. It is not necessary, but if you will do it, it is good. Okay, then I will see you in tomorrow's class. Take care. Good night. Ajay, are you trying to say something?
No, no, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.